What issues you're working on for this week? Anything?
No, nothing in particular for this week. I'm definitely focusing in on the NBA lockout and a lot of the players starting to talk to teams overseas and even sign contracts. I heard that Darren Williams just signed a contract with the team in Turkey, and a lot of players are looking at China. They're looking at other European teams. It'll be very interesting because I deal with a lot of players who are not quite at the NBA level and placing them overseas. And if a lot of the more talented players that have NBA experience are going overseas and taking some of those spots, it'll make it very difficult for, I guess, the talented players, but not the guys who are up to the NBA level to find good-paying jobs overseas. So it'll be very interesting. Plus, FIBA, the regulatory agency that oversees for all NBA or for all basketball teams overseas, is currently working with David Stern and the NBA to kind of figure out some sort of plan that'll work between the two leagues, because no one wants to step on each other's shoes. They work very well together, and the NBA has big plans to expand overseas. So that's certainly something I'm following, in addition to everything that's going on with the NFL.
What are overseas teams paying? Any idea?
Oh, it varies. It varies from $2,000 a month, including car, room and board, to up to $200,000 a month. So depending on the team, depending on the player, there's a lot of money to be made. And the interesting part about placing players overseas, at least from the agent perspective, is that almost every single time that you place a player overseas, the team pays the agency fee. So the player has very little incentive to work on the deal himself. The team typically pays the agent 10%, whereas in the NBA, you're capped at taking 4%, and that's paid by the player.
I was on Lex and Terry twice this week, just phenomenal guys, and they were asking me about the NBA lockout, and I had to plead ignorance. I know the NFL lockout stuff day in, day out. What's going on with the NBA lockout?
I guess the brief on that is that there's 22 out of 30 teams that are saying they're losing millions of dollars a year. So with the NFL, you have all the teams saying they'd like to be making more money. With the NBA, they're saying we're losing money. So that's the big difference there. The NFL can easily operate under its existing system where there's the split 50-50. The NBA has a 57-43 split, and the owners need to change. They say they need to change it in order to just operate. You have a soft salary cap in the NBA as opposed to the hard salary cap in the NFL. So in the NFL, there's a number that each team cannot go over with signing players. In the NBA, there's so many exceptions. I mean, I'm not going to go through each one of them, but there's so many exceptions to the salary cap that, a team of 15 guys will have 3 to 4 guys falling under the exception, and teams will be well over this soft salary cap. So it's forcing a lot of teams to spend, and a lot of them are crying foul. Unfortunately, the NBA is coming off one of its most successful years if you just look at ratings alone. I mean, there's been a remarkable interest by spectators. So hopefully this thing will get resolved. But I think with the NBA, you'll certainly see games lost, whereas with the NFL, it looks like it'll be wrapped up in the next week.
So, that's what we're all hoping for. Darren, I've got to go to break. Brian the bailiff is hammering away on me. Let me. Can you hold through the break?
Sure.
Okay, we'll come back. Sports and Courts.
You're listening to Sports and Courts Radio with John Phillips on 1010XL.
Lieutenant Kendrick ordered the code red to me because that's what you told Lieutenant Kendrick to do.
Object! And when it went bad, you cut these guys loose! Your Honor, you had Marcus inside a phony transfer! Your Honor, you doctored the logbook! You coerced the doctor!
Consider yourself in contempt!
Colonel Jessup, did you order the code red?
You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth. Son, we live in a world that has walls, and those walls have to be guarded by men with guns. Who's gonna do it? You? You, Lieutenant Weinberg? I have a greater responsibility than you can possibly fathom.
Welcome back to Sports and Courts. I am your host, and hopefully your lawyer one day, John Phillips. Check us out on knowthelawyer.com. If you have any questions, you can call us on the show at 641-1010, or you can email me at help@knowthelawyer.com. We have a very general practice. We can help you with all of your legal issues. If not, we can find a lawyer that's AV rated, that's going to help you in ways that a referral hotline or a 1-800 number will not. Just a little trivia for you. Guess how many AV lawyers the top 2 advertising firms have in Jacksonville? 0 out of about 30. So,
and John, what is AV rated?
Thanks, Bruce. You're AV rated, and yet you're asking me that question.
Well, I was just throwing it out there for you.
No, the public needs to know. It's Martindale Hubbell is the and we've got Darren on hold. I'm going to get right to you in a second, Darren. Martindale Hubbell is the lawyer rating service. You and I contribute with peer ratings. They actually don't come up with the ratings themselves. They send all of our fellow lawyers out.
And also the judges, too, which is an interesting point. You have to be rated by your local judges, and they have to have experience with you in court actually observing you trying cases, and they, give their unbiased opinion and report it back to Martindale Hubbell.
Absolutely, and lawyers are pretty brutal on other lawyers. We don't give 5.0s out very easily unless you truly respect the guy on the opposite side of the table. And so I think I crunched the numbers and put them on my Facebook site, facebook.com/knowthelawyer, of all the ones in Florida, Georgia, and Alabama where I'm licensed, and it runs about 10%. Some you look on some lawyer websites and they say 1 to 2% are AV rated. That's bluffing it a little bit. It's about 10 to 15%. And speaking of AV rated, I'm sure Darren Heitner one day. I think it takes about 10 years to even qualify for an AV rating, but Darren, you'll probably get it in 5. A couple questions to close you out, Darren. Are you on the line?
Yeah, I'm actually looking at Martindale.com right now.
There you go, bud.
After you mentioning that.
Yeah,
I'm ranked number 91 in weekly profile views in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, out of almost 5,000 people. I didn't even know that.
I'm going to go ahead and pat myself on the back. I am number 1 in Jacksonville and have been number 1 in Jacksonville since October. I think there was 2 weeks that I wasn't, and one was when a lawyer got arrested for some deviant conduct in a park, and then I think somebody had some national attention. So I think we're 112 nationally out of 1.4 million lawyers. So yeah, it's pretty cool. But one more question for you. It's a question Lex and Terry asked me, and I kind of bluffed my way through it. Which is more contentious in your mind, the NBA or the NFL? I said the NFL just because it started off so rough with D. Smith talking about pregnant mamas losing their benefits and all of that.
The NFL is a blip on the radar compared to the NBA, and the only reason that people will think differently is, well, there's 2 reasons. One, the NFL lockout has been going on for months now. It's been the center of attention for quite some time. We're actually, hopefully, near the end of the lockout, but it's been covered by ESPN. It's been covered by non-sports related media entities. So everyone seems to think that, this is something that is the end of the world. But furthermore, look at the NFL compared to the NBA in terms of the amount of people that watch the sport and the amount of money that's generated through participation and the spectators that are going to the games, buying the merchandise, watching on TV. The TV rights deals don't even compare to one another. However, if we're talking about the actual dispute alone, the NBA is much, much worse. And perhaps 4 or 5 months from now, that people will perceive it as such. They'll understand that there are a lot more issues with regards to the NBA, where again teams are saying they're losing money. Players don't want to give up any of the money that they're receiving, as opposed to the NFL where teams are making money, they just want to make more, and players don't want to give up any money that they're receiving. So, I think as the NBA lockout drags out, people will probably start to realize, okay, the NFL, yeah, they got their deal done. They didn't miss any preseason games, hopefully. The NBA, I think they probably lose 3 months of regular season games.
Wow. Darren, this was my first show. You and I know we both make the rounds doing these things all over the country, and it's kind of fun coming in and doing it 10 to 15 minutes at a time, and doing it for an hour is a little more daunting. But when I was booking guests, I thought of you and knew you'd carry at least 20 minutes for me, and you did you did it well, and I appreciate it, dude. Give the listeners a little information about where they can reach you or where they can follow you.
Sure. As you mentioned, I'm on Twitter at Darren, DARREN _Heitner, HEITNER. I own and operate the website sportsagentblog.com. Start with those two. And if you're still interested, I'm sure there's plenty of ways that we can reach out, and I'm always available by email. I really appreciate you having me on the show, and I wish you the absolute best of luck. It's a great format, and I think there'll be a lot of interest.
Thanks, man. We're gonna talk a little bit more. I know you got another third party interested about filing some of those lawsuits and kicking some butt. Thanks for coming on.